All right, let's jump right in. We're gonna solve a really strange 350-year-old mystery. And yeah, it involves a famous scientist, a terrified servant, and a piece of meat that, believe it or not, started glowing in the dark. This is the secret history of wonder. So get this. This is a direct quote from Robert Boyle, one of the actual founders of modern chemistry. Picture it, his servant runs screaming from the kitchen because a veal shank is glowing, and Boyle's reaction isn't disgust or, alarm, it's wonder and delight. And that right there is our central question. Why on earth would one of the greatest scientific minds of his day be absolutely delighted by something most of us would, immediately toss in the bin? Well, the answer has everything to do with how the very idea of wonder has completely changed over time. So, what is going on with Boyle's strange delight? I mean, it feels totally alien to us, right? But for him and other scientists of his time, this glowing meat wasn't just spoiled food. It was a prime object for investigation. It was like a little clue to how the universe actually works. To really get inside his head, we have to understand that he was looking at the world through a completely different lens. For him, wonder wasn't some obstacle to knowledge, it was the very starting point. And to see why, we actually need to go back even further. Let's jump in our time machine and go way back to the High Middle Ages. In this period, wonder wasn't something you'd find in a lab. Nope, it was geographical. It was something you found at the very, very edges of the known world. This quote from a 14th century monk, Ranulph Higdon, just perfectly captures that medieval mindset. It's like he believed that nature was all serious and orderly here at home in Europe, but once you got out to the periphery, she could kind of let her hair down and get weird. Wonders weren't just stories, they were a feature of the map. And this illustrates the point perfectly. This is the Hereford map, one of the biggest medieval world maps that still exists. For us, a map is all about accuracy, right? But for them, it was also a catalog of marvels. All the strange creatures and monstrous races are just packed into the far-flung corners of Africa and Asia, way out at the edges of the world. Let's zoom in a little. Here you can see the kinds of marvels they were imagining. You've got the Cyopodes, these guys with a single giant foot they'd use for shade, and the Blemii, who had no heads but faces in their chests. These weren't just fairy tales, they were considered part of the world's incredible, God-given diversity. But here's what's fascinating. The attitude toward these marvels changed. See on the left, from the 11th century, the dog-headed cynocephali are shown as these savage monsters you should be afraid of. But by the 15th century, on the right, they look almost civilized. The whole feeling shifted from horror to marvel, from something that threatens the order of the world to something that, kind of completes it. Okay, so let's fast forward now to the 16th and 17th centuries and see how this all builds. This is the era of the scientific revolution, where that feeling of marvel gets a brand new job. It literally becomes the engine of scientific inquiry. And here's the philosopher René Descartes, basically redefining wonder for a new age. It's not just a passive feeling of awe anymore. It's an active passion, a sudden surprise of the soul that forces you to pay attention, to look closer, to try and figure something out. It's the essential first step to actually understanding anything. So the crucial thing to get here is this powerful alliance. Wonder is that emotional spark, that whoa, what is that moment? And curiosity is the intellectual engine that kicks in right after. The okay, how does it work? This partnership right here is what fueled people like Robert Boyle. And they focused all this energy on a special category of events they called the preternatural. Think of it like this. It's not the everyday predictable stuff, like gravity. That's the natural. And it's not the divine, godly stuff, like the parting of the Red Sea. That's the miraculous. The preternatural was all the weird stuff in between. Monstrous births, strange weather, you guessed it, glowing veal. Things that were rare and broke the usual rules, but weren't necessarily acts of God. This was the perfect sandbox for the new science. But this golden age of scientific wonder, it didn't last. During the Enlightenment in the 18th century, the whole intellectual mood shifted, and pretty dramatically. The marvelous was actively kicked out of respectable science. It was no longer welcome. This timeline really puts our whole journey into perspective, doesn't it? We start in the 1200s, with wonders way out on the edge of the map. Then, by the 1600s, those marvels have become scientific data. But by the 1700s, an interest in marvels is seen as vulgar. I mean, what a complete reversal. So why the big change? Well, for one, wonder started getting associated with superstition and religious fanaticism, things the Enlightenment was really trying to fight against. It was also seen as childish, an undisciplined emotion that wasn't fit for a serious thinker. But most importantly, the goal of science itself changed. It wasn't about cataloging every weird exception anymore. It was about finding the simple, universal laws that governed everything. Wonders were just messy, inconvenient distractions from that mission. Which brings us all the way back to where we started, and to a much bigger question about our own time. In making science so professional, did we maybe lose something important along the way? And now, we can finally understand Boyle's reaction. The glowing veal wasn't disgusting. It was a preternatural phenomenon, a rare but not impossible event. It was a signal from nature that there was something new to be learned, and his sense of wonder was the passion that drove him to drop everything and investigate it right then and there.
The philosopher Michel Foucault wrote this in the 20th century. I dream of a new age of curiosity. And it just makes you think. It sounds like a longing for that same kind of excitement, that drive to find the strange and unique, a passion that was just second nature to someone like Boyle.
And so we end with this question. In the huge quest for rigor, for laws, for objectivity, wonder was deemed childish and disorderly. But was it also the spark for some of our greatest leaps in understanding? It makes you think. What might we be missing today simply because we've forgotten how to be delighted by a glowing piece of meat?